Hey, you guys, Stephanie Zima here with My Way of Life Coaching. Today, coming to you live to go over boundaries. Why do we need them? What happens if we ignore them? And how do we establish them when our family, our children, our spouse, all the people in our life may not want to participate or actually have other ideas? That is something that many women are struggling with, and today we are unraveling that topic. So make sure you click the subscribe button, make sure you are liking this video so that you can see it every week on Mindset Monday. Okay, so let's dive right in. Why do we need boundaries? So now imagine yourself standing on a big field where you do not see anything. You do not see the horizon. You do not see any mountains. You are in a big field with nothing around you. Zero. There's no trees. There's no nothing. There's just you and zero. Nothing around you. And it's a little abstract to kind of sit yourself into that moment and really think about it. But even if you maybe see grass, but you don't see the end, you do not see where you are at, you are just by yourself, wide open field, right? That can feel super scary because you are going to feel very small, and then you're going to try to like find your boundaries within your body. But now let's say, you know what, there's no body either, there's no skin that holds you together, because that is a physical boundary as well. Let's imagine none of that is there, and you're just kind of this ball of energy in this wide open field, and it's a very unsettling feeling. Okay, so you feel kind of small, you feel kind of scared, you feel kind of lost, I bet, right? um, this is how we are feeling when we have zero boundaries. Now, this is not necessarily happening on a conscious level. I want you to bear with me here for a minute. Scared, lost, and sometimes even violated is how you can feel when you have a lack of boundaries. And violated is depending on what kind of boundaries we're talking about. So imagine that someone comes in uninvited to your space, okay? Your home, your bathrooms, your whatever, your space. Imagine someone comes uninvited whenever they want, okay? Whenever they want. They're just going to come in, out, in, out. You never have any idea what is going on, when they are going to show up, when they're not going to show up. It is a feeling of lack of security. Like you are going to feel unsettled. You are going to feel nervous. You are always on edge. You're not going to know, is somebody coming, is not, is something happening, that these kind of things. So what happens then? Your sense of security and your sense of self is going to be distorted. Okay, you are not going to be clear as to who you are and what security feels like when someone violates your space all the time. Now, what happens if we ignore the boundaries, or grow up without proper boundaries? People without proper boundaries tend to overshare, for example, is one of them. They talk way too much, they tell too much, they tell too many informations, too much informations. Why? Because they don't know where the boundary is. They don't know when too much is too much or when too little is too little, or they don't have any sense of correctness, so to speak, right? um, they tend to also respond in fear. You know about the fight, flight, or fright stage, right? People who are having at their fear response aggression, fight, okay? When they're feeling unsettled, when they're feeling insecure, they are going to come out swinging. They are going to come out with all the aggression they have, because then that's the response in our brain, the primal response of fear. Okay, so you come out with aggression. So aggressive people, bullies in school, kids. When you look at scenarios of children, for example, the bully kids in school, chances are they have lack of boundaries at home. They have a lack of security. They have a lack of sense of self. Those things are very important to recognize when you're dealing with people who are aggressive all the time, an aggressive boss, an aggressive spouse, an aggressive people with aggression. They lack boundaries, they lack security in themselves and within their being. Okay. The same thing is with people who are having flight reactions, people who are wanting to leave. People are like they don't commit, they don't attach, they are constantly on the edge, right, of like leaving. That's another stress response to a lack of boundaries. Those are people who are anxious, very very anxious. They're not wanting to commit themselves because of a fear response. Lack of boundaries is often the reason for it, right? The root cause. And then people who are literally like freezing. They are completely freezing. They're not capable of responding to stressors. They're just there. They're feeling overwhelmed. They're starting to procrastinate. This is a freezing response. Procrastination is a freezing response. You are not wanting to move. You're just kind of like, we're not acting. And often it is because somewhere in our life, a boundary is off and we are not feeling secure and we're not feeling loved and we're not feeling well. And we are not looking at where the boundaries are being violated, right? So that is one of the things why it's so important to look at boundaries, because it's all kind of connected. So when we have the this fright situation where we are procrastinating, and it's because our nervous system gets overloaded, completely overloaded, and we shut down. We just shut down. Okay. So what's the result of all of that? What's the result of acting with the fight, flight, or fright stages, right? We can have social problems. We can be procrastinating. We can like feeling stuck. We are not getting where we want to get. And it's all because of the lack of boundaries, really, somewhere along the lines. So, what can we do about it? How do we establish boundaries, right? First step first, become aware. Awareness is the key. Awareness of where exactly is a boundary off. Where are we feeling unsettled? Where is something not quite right? Where do we feel out of balance? And who is involved with that? The second step is what would you like your perfect outcome to be? What is it that you really would feel like, love to feel like? Now think about your life. Think about the situation. um, what your personality trait is, and what would you like. Okay, I'm giving you an example. For example, at your work. Okay, if you have a boss who's very aggressive and you happen to be somebody who is more sensitive, and the boss constantly comes in and constantly just immediately like gets into your workspace, get into your face, it will put you in a state of fear constantly, and that will result in stress in your body, right? Feeling scared all the time. Now, how could you address a boundary in that matter? You could become aware the fact that you are feeling stressed every time your boss is going to come up to you and is going to basically aggressively be in your face, right? And you could set a boundary. So basically, your scenario is your workplace. Your who is going to be your boss, and how would you like to feel like? You would feel like to feel at peace with a little notice, right? Now, second step there. How would you like to be respected? Now you got to get some clarity. Like, obviously, your boss has a right to come to you and say, what's the progress on whatever it is you're working on, right? So, how could you establish this? How could you work on that? How could you be respected? How would you feel respected, right? Gain the clarity about what needs to happen. Does your boss need to maybe knock before he comes in? Does your boss maybe need to just say, hey, when you have a minute, can you please give me an updated status on something? Just really kind of get clear about it. And then what you can do is your third step is declare your boundaries. Okay, assume responsibility for your own state of emotion. Okay, you have to assume responsibility. You have to say, listen, I am feeling super stressed about this. I would love if we could work together somehow. I understand you need to get this status update. However, for me, it's very stressful when you come in all the time like that. Can we possibly find a way to do this? This is declaring your boundaries. This is declaring your needs and standing in for yourself, assuming responsibility for your own self. That works with a husband as well. Like that works with your children as well. You declare where's your boundaries, what can you do it, what take responsibility for where you are responsible, that is your emotional output, and then you got to work on those boundaries and declare them. That's the third step. Now, the fourth step, that is the trickiest one of all of them. It means enforce. Try it on for size and adjust if necessary. So, when I say try it on for size and adjust as necessary, that means when we first start playing around with boundaries, you start putting something in place and then you start recognizing that it really is maybe not enough or it's too much. And maybe you didn't need that much. And, so you kind of like be playful about it, be curious, play it out, try it on for size, talk to your people, whether or not your boss, your family, your children, whatever, whoever it is. Just talk about the fact that you are having a right to set boundaries. They also have a right to set boundaries, don't forget. But try it on and adjust it as is necessary. If it doesn't feel good after a while, then you need to like maybe make an adjustment to it. Play with it. But it's very important that you stick with those 4 steps, because these 4 steps is the secret on how you are going to find more happiness and purpose in your life. Okay, it is what happens when you neglect it. When you neglect those things, what's going to happen is you are going to have you are going to have numbing behaviors such as overeating, binge watching. 1 second, sweetheart. Okay. Oh. Okay.
Mama, I think
Hang on 1 second. I gotta finish my video here. Okay, so what happens if you neglect it? You will end up using numbing behaviors such as overeating, binge watching Netflix, you're zoning out just watching it, or social media, scrolling, TikToks, all those things, you are soothing those faulty relationships, those faulty boundaries that you have in your life, and when you soothe this, you are responsible of violating yourself, your core level self. And that is really the biggest problem of them all. If you are not taking responsibility to work on your boundaries for yourself, then you are also the one who's letting yourself down. Okay, that's what I want you to recognize. Make sure that you are starting to take responsibility for your actions and learn these steps and tools and tricks on how to improve your life. When we blame others, is not going to help you. Okay, that's just going to make you feel worse. But assuming responsibility to you for your own feelings and then taking steps, appropriate, assertive steps to address those issues, that is where you are really going to find the truth. So, if you want to dive in deeper into that subject, if you need some help, because those things are learned, those are learned behaviors, those are things that are coming over time. You're learning these steps and you practice this out, and sometimes you might have to talk to somebody to figure it out, right? So if you want to have some help, if you want to have some coaching on it, with your specific personal circumstances, please make sure you check out my masterclass. Okay, my masterclass is in the links, in the comments on my website. You are totally worth it. You are loved, and you have so much more to give in this whole world. And don't waste it by inaction. Your life awaits, okay? And don't live a life with regrets. That is just not worth it. So, anyway, I will see you next week, and take care.